Welcome everybody to our BNI Talks webinar. Today, we've got Mike Savage back again for time number 3, I think, Mike?
Brother, 4.
The 4th one. Okay, there we go. 2023 business plan, 1 page, 1 hour. So we've got an hour to cover lots of really great content here. So I'm going to turn it over to Mike right now and have at it, Mike.
All right, awesome. Hello, everybody, wherever you're from. I'm absolutely delighted to be here. Beyond grateful, Steve, to you for giving me this opportunity. We're going to have some fun. It may sound a little overwhelming to say, hey, we can get a business plan done on 1 page in 1 hour. There's a little twist to that, but nonetheless, I'm going to give you the ground rules, and I think it's going to be helpful to help you at least compartmentalize where you want to go with your business, where you want to take it, how you want to get to that next level. So 1 hour, 1 page. Let's give this a roll and see where we end up. So the first thing that I see that happens all the time is people are scared of a business plan. And I totally get it. You know what? I've written a lot of business plans. It can be scary. It can be overwhelming. It can be, 30, 40 pages. It can be a lot of stuff, a lot of research, a lot of hours. And depending on your purpose, you need to do that. You need to put all that effort in. But I have a goal today, and I want to transition this scary box into a box full of happy puppies. And I want to make it less intimidating. And I just want to talk about, why do we need a business plan? I want to remove the fear of the business plan. And then I want to share with you a step-by-step process as to how we can go to bring this to reality, as well as I got a bunch of free handouts that will help you build your plans. Oh, speaking of that, so I got a couple of free ebooks here that I'll give the information at the end, but it's 2 ebooks, 14 reasons why you need a business plan and 71 questions. Where did 14 and 71 come from? I have absolutely no idea, but nonetheless, I pulled them out of the world of my experiences, and I feel really good that they're going to be able to help you focus in on creating your plan. And also, I have a fill-inable PDF document where basically this is your 1-page business plan. You can download this, you can pop in all the information, and it's going to give you a really good foundation. And as Steve said, there's a lot of people that come back and are here all the time. Congratulations, because there is a reality. If you don't put in the good and the clean, the pure and the powerful and the positive into your brain, when you're constantly trying to learn in these webinars, the BNI Talks webinars, as well as all of the rest of the BNI training, absolutely foundational to your growth. So congrats for being here today. Now, help me understand a little bit about why you're here today. This will help me. I want to try and be able to tailor the presentation to hit on some of the areas where there might be more demand. So first off, you're here. Number 1, put it in the chat box, please. Put a 1 in there if you're looking to bring in cash now. If your business is at a point where you're looking to bring in cash. Number 2, put a 2 in the box if your business is kind of stuck, it's growing, and you feel like you need a business plan, but you're not 100% sure how to get there. Number 3, if you're not even sure if you need a business plan. And 4, and most importantly, and you got to be honest here, if you're here just because you love Steve Tenuzzo, you can throw that in as well.
Where's my 4s?
I would prefer one of the first 3 because I can be more helpful there. But Steve has just this uncanny ability to draw the lovers. I see a whole bunch of 4s, Steve. So
I'm loving that. That's great.
That's
Thanks,
exciting.
buddy.
All right, so a little bit about me. I've been a serial entrepreneur. I actually started my first real business at age 11, but I built 6 companies over the past 30 years. I've built 3 multi-million-dollar companies, and my largest grew to 25 million at 50 employees. We did about a $250 million in sales with that company. And, I've had boards of directors. I've been on boards. I've had investors. I've had partners. I've had banks. There's just a whole slew of stuff. Bottom line is I've got a lot of wounds. I've got a lot of scars. And I have the ability to take my learning and share them with you, and hopefully help you avoid some of the pain. In the world of entrepreneurship, there's always those Hollywood wins, but there's also those soul-crushing defeats. And sometimes we learn a little bit more from the defeats and the pains than we do from the joys. But nonetheless, a little bit there in my business, the Savage Secrets, and I'm a coach, entrepreneur coach. Don't call me a business coach. I work exclusively with entrepreneurs, private and group masterminds. I'm also a speaker. I have some digital courses. I'm blessed I've been in BNI for 2.5 years now. I'm blessed to have had the opportunity to speak several times virtually. I've been on the stage, BNI USA National Convention in April. I just got back 2 weeks ago from speaking in Cambodia at the BNI Cambodia National Conference. One amazing experience. Even one of the people on the show I shared the stage with, Kang Wee, just a phenomenal group of people, so high, so energetic, so optimistic. It was really a special experience. So I am a avid hardcore mountain biker. So instead of putting just a basic agenda together, I wanted to share this. This is our ride today. So we're going to start out with a little bit why a business plan. I want to simplify it, take the complexity and the fear out of it. I'm going to focus on 5 particular areas. And then what we're going to do is just finish up, and I'm going to take you through the step-by-step and answer some questions, whatever questions you may have as we get to the end. Now, another help for me is also put this in the chat box if you can. Share with me where you are in your entrepreneurial journey. What, an A, B, C, D, or an E, or an F. Your startup, you're getting going, you maybe got a business, 100 grand, trying to get to that $250,000 level, $250,000 to $1 million, million to 5 million plus. And I'm sure that there's several on here that don't even necessarily have are running companies, but you're here hopefully soaking up some of the juice, because I personally think even if you just work at a company, you are your own business. You're an entrepreneur. So just help me understand where you are in the journey, and I'll be able to, you got some B's and some C's, and this is awesome. Great. Thank you so much. Here's the big mistake I see so many entrepreneurs make. And guess what? If you're outsourcing capital, you're going to get a bank loan, you're going to, present to angel investors or private equity, whatever it may be. Guess what? You need a business plan. But the big mistake is that's not the only reason. There is other reasons. And I think these other reasons, regardless if you are going to seek capital or financing, it's essential. And again, not the complex level. And I'm only going to be able to touch on some of the primary reasons today, 5 different reasons. But again, there's a download that's going to give you 14 reasons why you could use a business plan. So number 1 is your team. And what it does, the business plan helps you focus your team. It helps you focus you. It allows you to really understand the ins and outs of where you want to go. It forces you to think into the future, because very rarely do any of us achieve anything or find anything unless we envision it, unless we visualize it, unless we strive for that. So your team, understanding your competitors, which is absolutely essential. Also to take a look at the product roadmap. We live in a world where you cannot stay still. You cannot sit still. You cannot not think about the future, and that next level but your product roadmap is essential. Your target market. I hear this so many times. I talk to someone, so who's your target market? Well, I got a really phenomenal product or service. Anybody is my target market. I'll tell you what, unless you advertise on the Super Bowl, you need to niche down, because the people that advertise on the Super Bowl, for the most part, they have the largest target market. A lot of Apple commercials, a lot of cell phone commercials, because everyone needs a cell phone. But target market isolation, and then obviously, Tom Cruise said it best, show me the money. And on top of that, the 5 reasons, but 4 questions that I think we really need to ask. And there's actually simple questions on the surface, but when you start to dig, you'll see it. But what problem are you solving? Every single business on earth exists for one reason: to solve a problem. So if you're out there, what is that problem you're solving? Who are you solving it for? How are you going to solve it? And then most importantly, this is typically only 3 questions, but I always add this one: how are you going to keep score? Because it's nice to go through the journey of building a business, but we kind of got to keep score. When we don't keep score, that's sometimes when we get stuck. So a formal business plan, it can be 30 pages, 40 pages. It can be a dozen spreadsheets at the end with your statement of cash flows and your balance sheet and your income statement and a whole bunch of research, it can cost thousands. I have spent tens of thousands of dollars just putting together a business plan. At the very beginning of the business plan is what I call the executive summary, not what I call, it's called the executive summary, right at the very beginning. And the executive summary is really analogous to where we are today, the one-page business plan. So the executive summary is not all the details and hardcore stuff, but on the surface, it can really help you focus your energy, your effort, your company on these key areas. So the 5 areas, first off, your DNA. Why do you do what you do? It's essential to really dig deep and feel that. Your product roadmap, your strategic marketing plan, essential. Also your teammates, and finally, the numbers. So all of this here is where I look to, if I'm trying to build a business plan, always starting with the executive summary. You want to get those fundamental pieces down, and then you'd start to dig deep. So again, I'm going to talk about 5 areas. There's a whole bunch of questions you want to ask when you're writing a business plan, and that's part of the download, but I'm just going to stick on the 5 areas. So the first one is, what is your purpose for being? You know, we're all here for a reason. We all run businesses. We're all trying to solve problems. But when you have the ability to take and really articulate in a passionate, experiential way, this represents your DNA. So what is your DNA? What is the DNA of your business? Who do you serve? Most importantly, how do you serve them? And what is the outcome that someone is going to achieve in purchasing your product or your service? Now, I'm going to, rather than go into a whole bunch of detail, I'm going to share 3 examples, which I think after you take a peek at these and after take a look at these, you're going to really get a sense of, yeah, I want to dig a little bit deeper into my DNA. So I'm going to share some examples of friends of mine, a client, but this is a amazing woman. Her name is Ashley. She's her company's LA writing coach, and what she does is she helps people write books. And she could say, well, my purpose is I help people write books, but she's so elegantly and clearly articulated that I help thought leaders, experts, and entrepreneurs create profit-generating books in as little as 90 days so they can become leading authorities, monetize their knowledge, and scale their business beyond 6 figures. It's very specific. And it's got a little bit more style and sass and passion than I help people write books. Another good friend of mine, one of my clients, Josh Gadboy, runs an unbelievably successful multi-million-dollar construction company. You know, his focus is primarily kitchens and bathrooms and basements, refinishing, and like it's a high-end organization. And he could say, I'm a construction guy, but his purpose for being, his DNA is we help families create new and invigorated spaces they feel comfortable in so they can enjoy their kids, their family, and create opportunities to build stronger relationships and new memories with those they love. Ugh, it hits at the heart. It's so much better than I build bathrooms. I create, I can refinish your kitchen. He has a incredibly growing business, and his DNA, this purpose, transcends to all of his employees, and you can feel it and you can see it, and it's so powerful. And now I'm going to share my personal DNA, my personal statement for being. Why do I do what I do? Say, business coach. First off, I'm not a business coach, entrepreneur coach. But my point is, I don't just teach people how to run companies. I help, and we help entrepreneurs transform from overworked and underpaid into happy, energetic, confident leaders with a powerful strategic plan, a strong team, an abundance of time and money, and an unstoppable zest for this beautiful journey called life. That's a lot better than I help people build companies. So my challenge to you is, in step 1, my challenge to you is really dig deep. What is your purpose? What is your DNA? What do you stand for? Why do you do what you do? Why do you get up in the morning? What is the thing that really excites you? So that's step 1. Number 2 is our product roadmap. Now, there is a reality. We can continue to do what we're doing. And the most important thing, I have this whole training on what I call the Entrepreneur's Trilogy. And I'm going to talk a little bit about it later, but if you're happy and you're healthy and you got phenomenal relationships and your business is exactly where you want it, you know what? Continue to do what you're doing. If you want to strive to get to the next level, if you want to take your business to somewhere where you've never been before, we want to develop a product roadmap, which is a product or service roadmap. Now, the greatest, biggest companies in the world do this. They think about where I am today, where do I want to be in 2, 3, 4, 5 years? And that visualization, that ability to go and dig deep and to think about what is it that you want is powerful. So what are your products, services, and pricing? Who's your target market? What's your competition? And most importantly, as we talked about it earlier, what is your unique strategic position in the marketplace? One of the biggest mistakes I've ever made building companies is I lived in a world of commoditization. Commoditization stinks. Anybody that can do, when you go onto Amazon and you look for stuff and you search for tape measure or ruler or whatever it might be, there are thousands of people living in that world with commodities, the same exact thing. What makes you different? What's your unique strategic position in the marketplace? So here is just an approach to this section, which is your product, service, and your pricing. And again, it can become much more elaborate, much more detailed as you go through. But let's just say that you're in the power washing world and you say, okay, well, I'm in the power washing world and I clean cars and I clean houses and I do this stuff. I actually have a friend that's in this world and he's really kicking butt. But as an example, this is his 2022 product portfolio. He also takes a peek, okay, well, what is my 2023 product portfolio? What would I like to be able to bring into the marketplace such that I can use these products complementary to my existing products? And most importantly, or I shouldn't say most importantly, it's very convenient if your products, the new products or services that you introduce are designed and aligned with your existing customers. So, again, we get into target market, but your product portfolio in 2023, and then maybe I add some more products in 2024. I said earlier, the greatest companies in the world, and you may have heard of this one. This is something I found on the internet. Apple does this. Every great company does this. They put together their game plan. So if you look on the left, it shows the different areas in which they're competing. And Apple, as big as they are, as global as they are, as wonderful as they are, you may not be an Apple person. I shouldn't say as wonderful as it. I know to me, they're wonderful because if I did not have an iPhone, I could not speak to my children. And so I was forced to transition several years ago when they became teenagers. I had to go to the iPhone world. But my point is that each of the categories, there's 6 or 7 categories, and they put together their roadmap for each of those. So that would be step 2, my challenges. Let's take a peek at where you are today. Where do you want to go tomorrow? Let's get specific. Most importantly, let's get specific about what are those new products or services you want to bring to the marketplace, and let's put it down on paper. This is why I preach the 1 hour, 1 page. It's a page. It's not something that we think about or we talk about. It's legit. Write it down, put it on a piece of paper, stare at it, and it's going to, one of those things about visualization, you're not going to accidentally bump into success. Wherever you want to be, you want to visualize it. So product planning and your product roadmap is just one of those really powerful areas that you will have the ability to say, here's where I am today, and here's where I'd like to go, and here's where I'd like to be tomorrow.
Mike,
number 3, one of my favorites.
Just jumping in a sec.
Yeah, sure.
We'll go back to that. One of the things that's interesting to me about this is that time goes by so fast, and sometimes years go by without us changing anything and taking the time, and it doesn't take that much time to really think about what can I introduce into the next year to add more money to the business. So important. This is like a big light bulb for me. So
an aha moment for Steve. All right.
Got it. Check.
Awesome. Thanks for that. The next piece of the 1-page plan is really one of the things I'm most passionate about. I made a statement. My employees called me on it. Had a company meeting a long time ago, and the place was filled at 50 or 60 employees, and I said, I'm so passionate about marketing. I said, I would rather spend money on marketing than breathe. Now, sort of stupid, but more tongue-in-cheek than anything else. But there's something so elegant about strategic marketing. And what I got to do here is, before I dig into the details, I got to get a little philosophical on you. I have this belief system about entrepreneurs. I believe that we star in 3 movies simultaneously, and I call it the Entrepreneur's Trilogy. It's heart set, mindset, and skill set. Heart set is our health, our relationships, and our happiness. And as I said earlier, you got those 3, you've won the game. The challenge is, especially as highly driven entrepreneurs trying to get to the next level, we got to start to play around with that thing that sits on our shoulders. So movie number 2 is mindset, which is, what's the stuff that we put in our brain? What is our mind, our motivation? What are our goals, our dreams, our vision? What are those things that we aspire to get to? And most importantly, do we take action? You know, there's a book called The Secret. I'm sure most of you have read it or heard about it. The Secret, I love everything about the book. It talks about visualization and channeling this energy. My biggest challenge with it is, you can visualize and channel the energy, but if you're sitting your butt on the couch and you're not getting up doing stuff, guess what? It's just not going to show up at your front door. So that's movie 2, which is mindset. And movie number 3 is skill set. And skill set is really where I want to spend the time today. And skill set is, in all of the stuff associated with our business plan, our product or service, our target market, and our strategic marketing plan. I call this, that's why there's a little heartbeat thing there. I call this the heartbeat of business. We have to get this right. Before we do all sorts of anything else, we got to really nail our product, our target market, and our strategic marketing plan. Now, our product, like I said earlier, every business exists for one thing: to solve a problem. So what problem are you solving? Number 2, who are you solving it for? And then number 3, which is the fundamentals of strategic marketing, is how will you connect them? And I have this really cool graphic that I use to explain what I believe strategic marketing is. I think strategic marketing is Match.com. It is really everything that is done to introduce your product or service to your target market. And it's, you know, what is Match.com? What is any dating service? It's like, we're trying to bring 2 people together that have similar likes, that have similar beliefs, that have similar desires, that, you know, hey, we want to hang out. Strategic marketing is the same thing. It's like a dating service. But here's the challenge. As a strategic marketer, you have, and this page is not designed for you to read it. It's designed to say, there is an unlimited number of things that we can do as entrepreneurs in the strategic marketing world. It's overwhelming. It can become super challenging. So what I would recommend is, let's pick 3. Pick just 3 things that, you know, you want to focus on, be great at it. Actually, pick 1 first, then move to 3, then try and maybe you go to that next level. And if you want to, I'm sure this is going to be recorded, Steve. Yeah. And so you can come back and take a peek at this page. But strategic marketing can become overwhelming. Focus is so sweet. But the entire purpose of strategic marketing is one thing. You want to take your product or service, you want to introduce your product or service to your target market, and it's all about the know, like, and trust factor. Because the more that you can warm up your audience, the more that you can warm your target market to what you have, the easier the next phase of business is, which is sales. But if somebody already knows you, likes you, and trusts you, the chances of them wanting to engage, that's why I love BNI. BNI brings people together. One-to-ones are magical. You know, that you have the ability to go and chat with someone and in an hour or half an hour, learn so much about them. You know, think about it. A one-to-one is Match.com. It's kind of the same thing, where you're trying to take your product and service and share it with someone else, and hopefully they, you know, you get that know, like, and trust factor. I had the ability to speak on the stage in Cambodia 2 weeks ago because of this one thing, the know, like, and trust factor. And I told Steve, I'm beyond grateful I've had the opportunity to speak on the BNI talks, because what happened was, the opportunity to speak on BNI talks, someone from Cambodia attended one of the talks. Then they invited me to do the virtual Cambodia National Conference last year. And then they invited me and my wife to fly out to Cambodia this year. And it was a special experience. But the barriers get broken down with strategic marketing. know, like, and trust, essential. And this is just an example of one of my clients that, and it's not designed to read this, but it's just designed to show you that within that box on the one-page business plan, this is some of the things that this Mexican restaurant is doing. They're hiring a new social media agency. They're running a billboard. They're doing a giveaway. You're amping up their Google My Business search engine optimization. They're going to attend events with their food truck, and they're creating education-based marketing emails. But it's just one of those things that we don't have to spend a ton of time on it. But the one-page business plan forces us to think, forces us to ask questions. Number 4, our team. And man, oh man, if you aspire to build a business, aspire to build a team, then or try to grow your business, there is nothing more important than your team. Nothing. And so I believe that our ability to craft our vision of our team, as well as share with our team our business plan, becomes so fundamental to taking our business to the next level. And when I say team, I don't necessarily mean you have to be hiring employees. You could be hiring assistants. You could be creating strategic partnerships. But the team, your people, the people that you surround yourself with, that fall in love with your dream, whatever your dream might be to build a business, becomes essential. So here's just a few questions to ask. And like I said, there's a download the book and you can get a whole bunch of questions. But when it comes to your team, who are your teammates? What do they do? And how will I inspire them? And when you think about those things as a CEO, as an entrepreneur, as a leader, those are essential. And just from a graphical perspective, you take a look at, here's your org chart. Your org chart in 2022 may only be you, and you may only want it to be you. But if you are aspiring to build a team, you want to say, okay, here's my team. And I have this really cool thing that you can also download. You can shoot me an email. It's on my website. It's called the activity audit. I think actually in a couple slides, I might be getting to it. But this is your team this year. Say, in the same fashion that we looked at what is our product portfolio and what we think our products are going to be in the future, we want to take a look at what's our team going to look like. So you have a team of people right now, and you say, okay, what's my team going to look like in 2023? I'm going to add some more employees. I'm going to create job descriptions for them. I'm going to really have a sense of where they want to go and where I want to take my business. And if I want to take my business there, how the heck do I do it? Who are the other players that I'm going to need on my team? Think about sports. The reason I love coaching is because it comes from the world of sports. And the world of sports, no coach has ever thrown a football, kicked a pass, kicked a field goal, caught a pass, blocked, nothing. The coach or the leader of the team's job is to inspire and lead and train and guide the rest of the team. So as you think about your team, what's it going to be like in 2022, 2023, 2024? When you start to think about it or spend some time just noodling the idea of, I want to build my business, who are the players that I'm going to need on my team? It becomes essential. And so this is something that, you can download it. I'll share the info in the chat, but I call this an activity audit. And when you start your business on day one and you're the CEO and there's no other employees, guess what? 100% of every task is yours, from, stapling papers to scanning to emailing to sales and marketing and whatever it is, you own it all. But as you grow your business, as you get to that next level, you say, I'm going to hire employee number 2, employee number 3, employee number 4, employee number 5. And the reason that I love the activity audit is it forces you to really think through each of the tasks, each of the responsibilities of your team members, of the players on your team. And eventually it transitions into job descriptions and transitions into, ultimately, hey, I'm going to go hire people. I'm going to share with you, this is a client I had, a BNI member from up in Canada, and he did a phenomenal job, multi-million-dollar business, phenomenal job of really articulating within a flowchart format. I like flowcharts. I'm kind of a nerd, I have a couple of degrees in engineering. So I like stuff. I'm like nerdy things. But when you lay it out in an organized fashion on a flowchart like he did, then you can go and say, all right, who do I need next? What's the next key player that I need to add to my team? What are the number of players that I want on my team? And so you just sit there and you strategize on your one-page business plan in section number 4 like this. You start to strategize and you say, okay, what do I want my team to look like as I go into the next year? And now we're going to finish with the one that is really my favorite. Actually, it's kind of like you can't have favorite kids. So each of these sections are essential. They're favorite. There's power to every one of them. But this is numbers. And you know what? It blows me away the number of people running literally multi-million-dollar companies that don't have a sense of keeping score. You have to keep score. You know, like imagine watching a baseball game, a football game, or soccer match, or hockey. No one keeps score. Like, we got to keep score. Keeping score is one of those essential fundamentals of just being an entrepreneur. So there's three sections of financials, and I'm not going to be able to go through all of them. I will explain them. The first is called an income statement. You know, this is a profit and loss statement. And a profit and loss statement is a period of time. You know, it gives you, it's analogous to a report card. You go to school, you take your classes at the end of 6 months or 3 months or a semester, whatever it is, you got a report card. So an income statement tells you what your grade is, basically. The second one is a balance sheet. A balance sheet is really, it's exactly what it sounds like. You're balancing your assets and your liabilities. What are the things that you own versus what are the things that you owe? A balance sheet is a moment in time. An income statement is a period of time. A balance sheet is a moment in time. And then my favorite one is cash flow. Cash flow is all the time. You know, we've all heard that saying, how essential it is to really understand cash flow. So I'm going to spend this section on cash flow, and there's obviously a lot more that we can do, but I think this training is going to be super helpful. But just let's take a peek, whatever your business is, and don't worry about the numbers. The numbers are not essential. You know exactly what the numbers are on the spreadsheet, but the fundamentals are every single business, you start off the month, you have money in the bank. That is your starting cash. And then throughout the month, hopefully, if things are going well, you get to put some cash in. Cash comes from a variety of different sources, including customers. Then the next step is you have total amount of cash available for that particular period. Then cash goes out, you buy stuff, you have employees, you have products that you need to purchase, whatever it may be, but you start with some cash comes in, then you have total amount of cash available, cash goes out, and then you have ending cash. So this is just one spreadsheet. And again, I have a free download. You can download this entire spreadsheet, customize it, use it for whatever you shoot me an email, coachmike@thesavagesecrets.com. But this spreadsheet is essential. This is one of those areas of competence that I think is lacking in so many business owners, so many entrepreneurs, but I'm going to make it super simple. When you finish the month of January, you start with the same amount of cash in February. Then you do some stuff in January. You know, you get a big order from a factory, you may have to buy some tooling, whatever it is, but stuff happens in the month of January. Then you go through, okay, what happened in February? Well, you had to buy some tooling, you had to buy some inventory. You end up with the net cash for the month. You are a negative $500,000. So your ending cash is negative. Guess what? You can't have negative cash. I suppose you can, but the consequences kind of stink.
Nobody wants that.
Nobody wants that. So if you have negative cash, that means you need to do something in the month of February to make sure you don't go negative. So you're $43,000 short. You need to access cash from somewhere. So let's just assume it's a line of credit. So you access that line of credit. That way you're starting off positively. So your ending cash in February now becomes your starting cash in March. Then guess what? You do some stuff in February too, right? You hire some more people, you get some, your sales go down, your cost of goods go up, whatever it may be, but stuff happens in the month of February. All of a sudden, like we just said, in March, I didn't get in as much cash as I hoped. So sales went down, cost of goods went up, I added some staff. Guess what? We ended the month negative again. We can't be negative. So what do we have to do? We want to make sure that we have cash available. So you may have to put in some of your personal funds. Same thing happens in April, basically ending cash in March is starting cash in April. You have some challenges. You have to add some more cash from friends and family. Same thing happens in May. So basically, over the course of this 4-month period, now again, this 600,000 could be 60,000, it could be 6,000. The numbers are irrelevant. The thought process is essential. Is as you want to grow your business, you've got to watch cash like there's no tomorrow. But you ended up with $600,000 in debt during these 4 months. Guess what? I got good news. In June, we got paid. In June, sales went up. We got a whole bunch of stuff that came in. And so cash came in, expenses stayed the same. We ended up ending the month with $1 million in cash. Guess what? You can now take and pay off all of that debt. You can pay down the debt, the money that you borrowed. But if you don't understand where you're going, so planning your income statement, planning your balance sheet, planning your cash, most importantly, if you can't do any of the others, plan cash, watch cash, analyze cash, because a whole bunch of businesses got punched in the gut in March of 2020. Now, many millions of businesses disappeared. And there's only one reason. There was just not enough cash to sustain itself. If you think of all of the hotel chains, all the hotels, how many hotels went out of business? I'm sure some did. But there's a Fairfield Marriott that's right down the road from me. And guess what? They didn't get a customer for 18 months. But they had enough cash. They had enough cash to get through. And I'm sure there were government subsidies and all sorts of stuff. But the point is, they had enough cash. So the business plan financials, the keys of the business plan, there's 3 fundamentals. It's your income statement, which is a period of time. This is your report card. Your balance sheet, what you own versus what you owe. And number 3 is cash flow. So when you're looking at your business plan and you're looking at this section, it is essential. And I'm not going to go throwing spreadsheets at you and all that other stuff, but spend some time forecasting, spend some time. That's what a business plan is. It's about strategic thinking strategically about the future. Now, I used to hear this saying, cash is king, right? Everyone's heard the saying, cash is king. I got smacked. I was told by my wife that cash is not king. She said, cash is queen. So cash is now queen. Wherever anyone says cash is king, that old saying is out the window. Cash is queen. And like I said, I have some downloads. And if you are watching this on your computer and you've got your phone, you can scan the QR code. You can also go to thesavagesecrets.com/bizplan. I'm going to put this information also in the chat box. But these downloads are there to help you be strategic. You know, the PDF that is the PDF of the one pager, it's all fillable. You just get to plug the information in. But the more time you spend planning the future, the better off you're going to be succeeding in whatever your aspirations are. So there's some free downloads here. And then it also, I don't think I have a link to this. It's probably on my resources page. If you go to thesavagesecrets.com and up at the top, there's a resources button. There's a spreadsheet. The spreadsheet can help you. It's a cash flow spreadsheet. You can fill it in, you can change it. There's a whole bunch of formulas, whatever you want to do to help you be strategic and be a great planner as it relates to cash. Cash is one of those things that the better we are at understanding it, managing it, we want to, unless you're a nonprofit, you're in this to win this, right? You want to be able to generate cash. You want to be able to take your business in your life to the next level. And I wanted to share a few of the clients that I've worked with, all BNI members, but the ability or the beauty of a coach, and I'm not saying use me, I don't care. My point is that having a third party, I have 3 coaches in my life right now, because it is impossible to fly the plane of entrepreneurship solo. It's really difficult. You know, it's you sit there, and I know what it's like because I built a bunch of companies from scratch. You sit there and you talk to yourself in the mirror like, hey, Mike, how you doing? I'm doing pretty crappy today. Well, what do you think you should do? I don't know. I'm kind of bummed. You know, unless you're having a really powerful conversation with yourself, it's hard. But this is a guy from up in Canada. You know, Jeremy runs a phenomenal business. Another one of my buddies, I mentioned him, both of these guys earlier. But, you know, there is more to business than business, you know, and I always say that if you succeed in the world of business and you fail at your health, your relationships, or your happiness, you lose. It's a net loss. So always be holistic about this journey. This is another great guy, construction guy, just is flourishing, starting to hit those $1 million numbers. But I'm going to finish with this. There are only two ways to learn things in life. There is your experience or someone else's. And when you learn on your own, it usually hurts more, costs more, and takes longer. So what you're doing today, coming to this event, hopefully I've been able to share a couple of nuggets that you can take with you, but continue to come to these every single week. There's so much power in the presenters. There's so much power in collaboration and learning from others. People that have done what you're trying to do. The greatest learning laboratory on earth is at the feet of someone who's already done what you're trying to do. And then I also want to just share, I've got this event coming up. It's a 4-day mega event. It's called $1 Million Entrepreneur Blueprint. It's in October. If you get on my mailing list, I'll be able to communicate this to you. But it's called $1 Million Entrepreneur Blueprint. It's not called building $1 million business. It's not called putting $1 million in the bank. It's called $1 Million Entrepreneur because, like I said, we live these 3 movies simultaneously: heart set, mindset, and skill set. You win in business, but you lose in your health, your relationships, or your happiness. It's a net loss. So that's what we're going to be going over on those 4 days. So I'm eager, Steve, for Q&A, and anything that anyone's got to fire at me, just let her rip.
Yeah, somebody mentioned something earlier in the chat about how important it is if you're a solopreneur to look at the full team. So like bookkeeper and all those other people who are around you as part of your team. So it doesn't feel like it's overwhelming to try to scale your business.
Yep, absolutely.
So what are your thoughts on that? On like kind of meeting with those people and keeping them informed of what your business plan is?
The people that are your closest, your confidants, the people that are, not necessarily employees. I share my vision with my accountant, with my attorneys, with my bookkeepers, with my marketing companies, with I have a virtual assistant in the Philippines. I share the vision with every one of them. My assistant, executive assistant, Leah, so phenomenal. I share the vision with her. So it's powerful to share where you want to go with all of the key people, even if they're not employees, because think about it. They want you to succeed. They want you to win as well. And if you win, you continue working with them. So I don't think that, like I said, the term solopreneur is great, but no one's a solopreneur. You may not have employees, but you certainly have a network of people that are all part of your team and you all want to be marching down the road at the same pace.
All right. Brandon is asking, do you ever work with entrepreneurs in the arts, music, film, etc.?
So I have worked with entrepreneurs in almost every industry. My belief system is that the journey of entrepreneurism is industry agnostic, meaning that it doesn't matter if you're running a construction company, an IT company, you're in the music industry. If you're striving to build a business, the fundamentals are the same. You exist to solve a problem, whatever that problem may be. It can even be a nonprofit, doesn't matter. You exist to solve a problem. In solving that problem, you have a product or service to solve that problem. That product or service is designed for a target market or an ideal client. You can't be everything to everybody. And so the more focus you can get with your product or service in your target market, it makes the next several layers of building a company the same. It's basically, what is my strategic marketing plan? What are the different things that I can do from a financial perspective, sales perspective, operations, logistics, human resources? Businesses grow into all these different things, but to me, it's industry agnostic. You could be running a landscape company. You could be, I have a guy that's in telecommunications. Same basic fundamentals.
Yeah, and I think anyone can benefit from coaching, certainly, especially when you're at that point where you're at the what's next point, right? Where you've kind of mastered where you are, and before the business gets boring, you want to kind of scale it up a little bit. I think.
Well, and it's hard. It's like I said, there's only two ways to learn things in life, right? And that's life. I'm not just talking about business. You learn about parenting. You're going to read a book. Good luck. Let me know how that works out for you. I read a bunch of books. It didn't help. But I shouldn't say, I say that tongue in cheek. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff that you can gain from others. But, the greatest learning laboratory on earth is at the feet of someone who's already done what you're trying to do, whether it be business or whether it be personal, whether it be health and wellness, fitness related, whatever it may be. If you want to run a marathon, I've got a client who's a triathlete, and he's got a swim coach, he's got a run coach, he's got a strength and conditioning coach, he's got a bike coach, he's got a nutrition coach, he's got all these different coaches surrounding him because they're experts in their areas. I have coaches in my life. I practice what I preach. I'm trying to get to certain levels in different areas, speaking being one of them. And I have people that are helping me in these worlds. So yeah, I'm an addict to coaching. Coaching on a personal level saved my life many years ago in a dark place. Did the therapists and did the medications and all that other stuff. A coach said, Mike, get your ass off the couch and blah, blah, blah. And a lot of swear words, but nonetheless, help me get my head out of my butt.
Right. Okay. You were, when you showed that big list of different options on the marketing side of things that you can do to promote the business, what if someone just focuses on, say, social media and says, I'm going to do 3 social media platforms? Is that the same as choosing 3 different categories?
Put it this way, Steve. I think the most important thing about that step into strategic marketing is if you do not nail your product or service, you got to be able to explain it in excruciating detail. And if you do not fully understand your target market, who is your ideal client? Who's your ideal customer avatar? Who is the one person you can explain them? They have these, avatar. When I had marketing agencies that come in and they'd give you, well, here's Alice. Alice is, 40 to 49 years old, and she's this, and like they explain it. Once you have those 2 pieces nailed, then the strategy is really, you don't even need to do 3, do 1 and get good at it and try it. And social media could be one of those, could be that way of introducing your product or service to that target market. It could be. But the key is the fundamentals are really, you got to know those 2 things. And when it comes to strategic marketing, so what am I doing right now? I am doing a webinar. A webinar is part of my strategic marketing platform. Why am I doing this webinar? Well, I'm one of I love Steve Tenuzo group too.
Before,
but
there you go.
But that's not the only reason. I also do it because if you're sitting there watching this and you're saying, you know what, this guy might make sense. There's a know, like, and trust factor that may go on. I've had people watch webinars like, call me an idiot too. but and that's okay. Everybody's not going to be your customer. But whatever you do in the strategic marketing area, whether it's 3 social media platforms, whether it's going to networking events, BNI, by the way, is one of those key components of a strategic marketing plan. What do? You get together with people every single week, every 2 weeks, and you get to meet them, you get to know them, you get to understand them, not just as business people. You get to understand them as human beings, which to me, the biggest challenge of COVID was we lost 3 things that I think are essential in business: hugs, handshakes, and happy hour. So those 3 things have come back in full bloom right now.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. For people just getting started, the financial piece is what they struggle with most. What if they don't know what the costs will be? What do you suggest?
Put it this way. There's no easy answer to any of these things.
Yeah, especially when you're projecting, right?
Right. You've got to, it's an estimate. And what I advise people to do is I say, we want to have a 12 to 18 month rolling window of cash, right? So that's 12 to 18 months. So when January ends and then you pop on July of the following year, and you're constantly tweaking and editing and looking at different things, because if you're going to add, let's use staff, for example, you're going to add an employee. You're going to add employee in March. You're going to add employee in April. Well, guess what? You may have to add 2 employees in April. You may have to add 4 employees in July. And you didn't anticipate that in January, but your business is exploding. That's the beauty of a cash flow statement. A beauty is, and again, like I said, shoot me an email, coachmike@thesavagesecrets.com. I'll get you access to this email or go to my webpage. Access to the spreadsheet. But none of us have a silver ball. Like there's no crystal ball where you can say, well, I know that my expenses are going to be A, B, C, D, and E. No, it always changes. Just look at insurance, look at taxes, look at, variabilities in what's happened in COVID. I have another company that's in e-commerce, and we were bringing products in from our factories, and normally it would cost $2,000 to land a container on the West Coast. It was costing $16,000. Well, guess what? No one anticipates that. There was no business plan on January of 2020 that said, all right, I want to put all the contingencies in place. No business plan said, what happens if the government tells me I can no longer have customers? That wasn't in a plan. But the beauty of planning is essential, but plans are only as good until the ink dries. Probably an old statement because everything's done on a computer right now, but planning is essential, but plans, you got to constantly monitor them. Have a vision, but if you don't, you're not crystal clear on your expenses, join the club. That's the world of entrepreneurship. Some things are fixed, a lot of things aren't.
Yeah, good point. All right, here's a specific question by someone who may be in the insurance biz. When you talk about the line of credit, have you ever seen a business owner use overfunded whole life insurance to use as an asset inside the company? Then the company can borrow against policies on yourself, key employees, etc. in the short form.
There are a lot of magical things that you can work with your bank. Like if you're going in, you're starting out, you want that first $100,000 line of credit. Guess what? One thing that they want is called a personal guarantee. So they're going to still want to see your financials. They want to still see that you're getting your stuff done. If you don't have much history, it's challenging. That's where friends and family and angel investors come in. They can see your business, see your model, and they may float you some cash. But there's a lot of ways that you can build your banks are not in the risk business. Banks do not want to take any risk. So if they're loaning you $100,000, $250,000, $1 million, $5 million, rest assured, they got a plan to get it back if you're not able to pay your bills.
All right. I've got kind of an anonymous thing going on here, but let me kind of give you the basics of it. Someone sees an opportunity to serve in the health field, let's say people of all ages, but they're targeting a certain demographic to be specific about their business and to easily attract, that field. But they're worried about all the other opportunities that are missed. How do you balance those two out?
That's a beautiful question. And it's a question that every single entrepreneur asks. And the biggest challenge is, if there's one answer that I can give you, one response, the riches are in the niches. Now, I'm sure I stole that from somebody, but when you are shooting a shotgun, stuff's going everywhere. When you have a sniper rifle, you're super ultra focused. So the reason that it becomes essential, okay, yeah, say you're in the health and wellness, diet, fitness, whatever it may be. It's like, well, the things that I teach in the area of nutrition are good for a 22-year-old, are also good for a 72-year-old. That's wonderful. It really is. But your messaging to a 22-year-old is going to be a lot different than your messaging to a 72-year-old. A lot different. That's the reason why we need to niche down. That's the reason why we need to focus. Like when someone says, Mike, who is your target market? I can rattle down 14 different specifics of that person. I know their mindset. I know their DNA. I know their revenue. I know the number of employees. I know the challenges that they have. And I know the loneliness. I know how they talk to themselves in the mirror. It's difficult. Yeah. It's difficult, but riches are in the niches. And it's hard because well, my product or service can satisfy everybody. Great. When it can, you'll be advertising on the Super Bowl. But until then, stay focused. pick that one demographic that you think is going to be the most suited, is going to be the most happy with your product or service, and focus on them. Focus your networking, your marketing, whatever it is. When someone says in your BNI meeting, what do you do? It's like, a great referral for me would be a woman between the ages of 50 and 69 who is 20 pounds overweight and is looking to, get healthier, like whatever it might be, rather than saying, hey, I'm just looking for someone who wants to lose weight. Like,
right.
No, it's like
too general.
And when you're specific, you're also helping the people that are in your group think for you. That's what I find beautiful about BNI, because it's like you have the ability every single week to tell your story.
All right, it is 12:57, so we are going to wrap up right now. Mike, thanks so much for this one. This, I think, was the best one so far. They keep getting better as you come on.
I aim to get better and better, Steve.